Newstrack. I'm Rahul Kanwal. Everyone watching seems to be excited suddenly about the Lakshadweep and saying, Lakshadweep, chalo, but where will you stay? Are we getting carried away by the hype? It's fantastic that people want to travel within our country, but is there a very real risk that we're getting carried away by hype? Because it'll take time for infrastructure to come up in the Lakshadweep, for Lakshadweep really to come up in a way that it can meaningfully compete and compare with the Maldives. Lakshadweep versus Maldives and everything that's playing out is my top focus on the Newstrack tonight.
Mega meltdown over Maldives. Maldives abuse enrages customer number one. Maldives cancelled. Lakshadweep trends. Social media gussa or real turning point? Can Lakshadweep be next Maldives? The big focus on Newstrack.
The Lakshadweep versus Maldives tourism tussle has now escalated into a full-blown diplomatic fight. The Ministry of External Affairs summoned the Maldivian High Commissioner today. This after a few Maldivian ministers and MPs make disparaging comments about the Indian Prime Minister and about the people of India. The Maldivian overreaction came after the Prime Minister posted about his visit to Lakshadweep. He didn't mention the Maldives or even the Maldivian government. Then what explains this epic meltdown?
Pristine islands transformed into a diplomatic battleground. Controversial remarks from three Maldivian ministers responding to Prime Minister Modi's tourism promotion in Lakshadweep sparked a major outcry. India, a significant source of tourism driving the Maldivian economy, strongly protested. On Sunday, the president of the island nation, Mohammad Muizzu, suspended the three ministers. Relations between India and the Maldives have strained since President Mohammad Muizzu took office in November. Perceived as leaning towards China, the new Maldivian president deviated from tradition, opting for China on his inaugural state visit, contrary to the usual choice of India by past Maldivian leaders. From ordinary Indians to celebrities, the suspension of the three Maldivian ministers left many dissatisfied. Social media buzzed with posts favoring Lakshadweep over the Maldives.
मालदीव है तो लक्षद्वीप भी है, बहुत नज़दीक है, अंडमान्स भी है और हिमालय की ऊंचाई भी है और हिमाचल प्रदेश से लेकर लेह लद्दाख भी है. तो भारत में तो विशाल हृदय वाला भी है और विशाल सोच वाला स्थान भी है.
India summoned Maldivian envoy Ibrahim Shahib to express its displeasure. In Malé, Indian High Commissioner to the Maldives, Munu Mahavar, had a pre-arranged meeting with the Maldivian Foreign Ministry.
मोदी जी के वक्त, एनडीए के वक्त, बीजेपी के वक्त प्रधानमंत्री का इन्फ्लुएंस पाकिस्तान घुटनों पे है, चाइना घुटनों पे है और मलेशिया, मालदीव्स को अपने 3 मंत्रियों को सस्पेंड करना पड़ा. इसको कहते हैं मोदी जी की ताकत, भारत की ताकत, 140 करोड़ लोगों की एकजुटता की ताकत, जो कांग्रेस को कभी समझ में नहीं आएगी.
लक्षद्वीप की सुंदरता को,
with the Prime Minister himself becoming the brand ambassador for Lakshadweep, an endorsement from some of India's top celebrities. The Maldives' pro-Chinese government may have valid concerns about potential repercussions from losing the largest group of Indian visitors. Bureau Report, India Today.
There's been a tsunami of interest in the Lakshadweep since the Prime Minister posted a 1-minute 28-second video about his trip to the Union Territory. Lakshadweep has topped the Google search list in the last 3 days. Travel portals are suddenly offering special discounts for Indian beaches. There's also been a massive backlash against the Maldives. The hashtag boycott Maldives is still trending. And quite a few Indian tourists who are planning to go to the Maldives are saying, no, we will no longer go to Malé.
द्वीप की सुंदरता को शब्दों में समेटना बहुत मुश्किल है. जो लोग दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों के द्वीपों को देखने जाना चाहते हैं, वहां के समंदर से अभिभूत है, उनसे मेरा आग्रह है कि वो पहले लक्षद्वीप आकर जरूर देखें।
3 days after the Prime Minister posted this video of his trip to Lakshadweep, there's been a tsunami of interest. Lakshadweep was Google's top searched keyword for 2 days after the Prime Minister posted pictures from his trip to the Union Territory. A host of celebrities, including actors and sportspersons, joined in, asking people to explore Indian islands. From Salman Khan to Varun Dhawan, Shraddha Kapoor to Ranveer Singh and Amitabh Bachchan, PV Sindhu to Virendra Sehwag and Sachin Tendulkar. The Prime Minister's post triggered a massive interest in unexplored beach destinations in India, especially Lakshadweep. So much so that Make My Trip declared that the portal had observed a 3,400% increase in on-platform searches for Lakshadweep. The surge in searches prompted Make My Trip to launch a Beaches of India campaign.
Lakshadweep has seen a remarkable 3,400% increase in searches ever since our Honorable PM visited the islands. So this kind of inspired us to build an entire campaign around it. So we are launching Beaches of India. We're also providing consumers with remarkable deals and discounts so they can actually live this experience and see these beaches for real.
If on one hand the interest in Lakshadweep is soaring, Maldives has taken a nosedive. Maldives is facing a wave of cancellations of trips by Indians after a series of comments from the island nation targeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his visit to Lakshadweep. Screenshots of cancelled flights and hotel reservations began circulating online, and the hashtag Boycott Maldives trended on social media platforms in India. Travel agency Ease My Trip has suspended all flight bookings to Maldives.
For us, Ease My Trip, which is a homegrown company, one of the largest travel portal, we are ready to sacrifice about 2.4 lakh bookings which happen on annual basis to Maldives in order to make a statement that for us, always and always nation will come first. And in respect to that, we have basically taken a consideration of not booking any flights to Maldives from India henceforward.
In the year 2023, Indians made for 11% tourists in Maldives. The backlash against the island nation and a resurgence of interest in Indian islands is sure to hurt Maldives more than it imagined. Bureau Report, India Today.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit over New Year's to the beautiful islands of Lakshadweep have brought Lakshadweep starkly into national focus. A lot of people now vowing to go to Lakshadweep. Cancel Maldives campaign currently seems to be on, and the man who's most thrilled with all of this is the administrator of Lakshadweep, Praful Patel. He now joins us live and exclusive on India Today. He's also the administrator of Daman and Diu. He's joining us right now from Daman. Praful Patel साहब, स्वागत है आपका इंडिया टुडे पे. आपकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के तौर पे जिम्मेदारी है कि लक्षद्वीप में ज़्यादा टूरिस्ट आए, यहाँ का विकास अच्छे से हो. एक तरीके से प्रधानमंत्री ने लक्षद्वीप जाकर लक्षद्वीप के ब्रांड एम्बेसडर का काम किया है. अब आप तैयार हो जाइए क्योंकि पूरा हिंदुस्तान आपके पास आना चाहता है.
राहुल जी, आप बिल्कुल रही हो कि मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का हृदय से धन्यवाद भी करता हूँ, अभिनंदन करता हूँ. हमारे और लक्षद्वीप के सभी नागरिकों का निमंत्रण को ध्यान में रखते हुए उन्होंने दौरा किया. उनके एक दौरे से पूरे लक्षद्वीप को नेशनल नहीं इंटरनेशनल फ्लैग पे टूरिज्म डेस्टिनेशन के लिए वो उभर के आ गया है.
प्रफुल्ल भाई, मैं खुद लक्षद्वीप आया हूँ काफ़ी हाल में, काफ़ी स्कूबा डाइविंग भी मैंने की है. मालदीव्स में भी की है। मुझे इस बात का एहसास है कि लक्षद्वीप की स्कूबा डाइविंग मालदीव के बराबर है या उससे थोड़ी बेहतर ही है, क्योंकि वहाँ पे कम लोगों ने डाइविंग की है। लेकिन ये भी हकीकत है कि लक्षद्वीप का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, वहाँ के होटल्स, वहाँ का जो पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, एयरपोर्ट्स को लेके, बोट्स को लेके, मालदीव्स की तुलना में अभी बहुत पीछे है। तो उस बारे में आप हमारे जो दर्शक इस वक्त देख रहे हैं उसके बारे में बताएं, क्योंकि लक्षद्वीप आना तो सब चाहते हैं, लेकिन फ्लाइट केवल एक है और वो भी ATR, जिसमें केवल 72 लोग बैठ सकते हैं।
राहुल जी, आपकी बात से मैं सहमत हूं, लेकिन मैं क्लैरिफाई कर दूं कि मैं कंपैरिजन में नहीं जानना चाहता मालदीव और लक्षद्वीप की। देखो भैया, ये देश की आजादी के 75 साल तक जिस प्रकार से लक्षद्वीप का विकास होना चाहिए था, अनफॉर्चुनेटली इतना नहीं हुआ है। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पिछले 5-7 सालों में लक्षद्वीप में जितनी कमियां थी उसकी पूरी करने की पूरी कोशिश की है। मैं आपके संज्ञान में लाना चाहता हूं कि लक्षद्वीप में देश की आजादी के 75 साल के बाद भी पीने का शुद्ध पानी नहीं था। वो आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने वहां पे सारे 10 इनहैबिटेड आइलैंड है, 10 आइलैंड है जहां पे आबादी है, सारे 10 आइलैंड पे पीने के शुद्ध पानी के लिए डिसैलिनेशन प्लान अप्रूव कर दिए और वहां पे अधिकांश आइलैंड पे वो काम पूरा भी हो गया है। अब देश लक्षद्वीप के नागरिकों को पीने का शुद्ध पानी मिल रहा है और वो भी नल से जल योजना के तहत वहां पे काम शुरू हुआ है। अगत्ती और मेनिकोय में तो अपने घर में उनको पानी मिल रहा है। ये सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि है। मछुआरों के लिए जो प्राथमिक आवश्यकता थी आइस की, इतने सालों से 1 केजी आइस नहीं था राहुल जी, वो भी हमने काम पूरा कर दिया है। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कितनी छोटी छोटी चीजों का ध्यान रखा है। मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं कि वहां पे छोटी यूटी है, 64,000 की आबादी है, नंबर ऑफ स्कूल्स भी कम है। आई फुल्ली एग्री, लेकिन वो सारे स्कूल में जितने भी कमरे हैं वो सारे कमरे वो स्मार्ट कमरे बन जाए, उसका भी आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने चिंता किया है। और वो मुझे बताते हुए खुशी भी हो रही है, गर्व भी हो रहा है कि 100% क्लासरूम हमारे स्मार्ट क्लास बन गए हैं। नॉट ओनली दैट, आपने जो बताया अभी कड़मत और सुहेली दोनों जगह पे वाटर विला और जमीन पे वो कॉटेजेस और वाटर विला दोनों का काम अभी तेजी से चल रहा है। इसके अलावा 800 से ज्यादा चाहे वो टूरिस्ट के लिए आवास की व्यवस्था का काम पाइपलाइन में है, या तो कोई कई जगह पे पूरा हुआ है और जो बाकी रह गया है उसके लिए भी ऑलरेडी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिशा निर्देश दिए है कि टूरिस्ट को किसी भी प्रकार की कोई तकलीफ न हो, इसके लिए जल्द से जल्द ये काम पूरा करना है। जहां तक कनेक्टिविटी का सवाल है, आपने सही बताया, छोटा सा एयरपोर्ट है, वहां के लोगों को हज के लिए अगर जाना है तो भी वो वाया कोची से ही जाना पड़ता था। लेकिन मैं जब आपसे बात कर रहा हूं तो ये कुछ ही दिनों में अगत्ती का एयरपोर्ट नए से उसको एक्सपांड करने के लिए आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री ने जो हमें दिशा निर्देश दिए थे और मार्गदर्शन दिया था, उसी के तहत हमने सारा सबमिशन भी कर दिया है। विद इन नो टाइम मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो एयरपोर्ट वही सैंक्शन हो जाएगा। इसके बाद ये सारी समस्या जो है वो समाप्त हो जाएगी, क्योंकि आज के दिन में तो पेनल्टी लोड के साथ वहाँ ATR 72 चल रहा है। इसके अलावा जो भी अभी व्यवस्था उपलब्ध है उसमें भी आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें कहा है कि देश के बड़े बड़े शहरों से टूरिस्ट वहां पहुंचे, इसके लिए भी नए से एयर सर्विस में बढ़ावा करने के लिए भी हमने भारत सरकार को भी भेज दिया है।
पर सर मैं आपको बताऊं, क्योंकि मैं काफ़ी शौकीन हूँ भारत में ही ट्रैवल करने का, बजाय इसके कि विदेश जाने के। ये जो लक्षद्वीप के प्रोजेक्ट्स की बात है, आपके साथ भी इस वक्त IAS अधिकारी हैं जो मैं आया था, उन्होंने मुझे यही कहानियाँ सुनाई हैं कि यहाँ पर इको टूरिज़्म होटल्स आ रहे हैं, हमारे बड़े बड़े जो 5 स्टार होटल्स हैं वो वाटर विलास बनाएंगे, कुछ बहुत ही अच्छे इको टूरिज़्म प्रोजेक्ट्स को इजाज़त मिलने वाली है। जितने भी सालों से लोग लक्षद्वीप आ रहे हैं वही सेम कहानियाँ सुनाई जा रही हैं। कैसे यकीन करें कि जो पहले कहानियाँ थी अब हकीकत में बदलेंगी?
भैया, जो आप बिल्कुल सही बता रहे हो, पहले कहानियां हुआ करती थी, लेकिन अभी तो ये है मोदी की गारंटी वाली बात है तो उन्होंने जो कहा है उस दिशा में अभी धरती धरातल पे काम चल रहा है, ये मैं आपको पक्का विश्वास देता हूँ। आप देखेंगे कि एयरपोर्ट का जो अप्रूवल है वो अभी कितने दिनों में आ जाता है, आप देखेंगे। इसके अलावा जो स्कूल का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, पीने के पानी का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, आइस की बात है, नए 5 अस्पताल का जो काम है वो सारे टेंडर हो चुके हैं अस्पताल के। तो स्कूल 3 नए स्कूल बना रहे हैं, उसका भी टेंडर हो चुका है। नए कॉलेजेस बना रहे हैं, उसका भी टेंडर हो चुका है। सागरमाला के तहत हम नए मल्टीपर्पज जेटी बना रहे हैं, उसका भी हमें अप्रूवल भारत सरकार से विद इन फ्यू डेज वी विल गेट इट, हमें मिल जाएगा। तो ये जो है ना, अब कहानियां नहीं है, गारंटी वाली बात है, और ये आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की गारंटी है। तो मुझे पक्का भरोसा है कि साहब जो कहते हैं, देखो मैं आपको इसलिए उदाहरण देता हूं कि 15 अगस्त को दिल्ली के लाल किले से उन्होंने बताया था कि ओएफसी के सबमरीन केबल का काम आने वाले समय में जल्द ही पूरा हो जाएगा। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लाल किले से बताया और वो करके दिखाया। वो लोकार्पण का काम उन्होंने 3 तारीख की जनसभा में वो लोकार्पण का काम भी पूरा कर लिया। 1 जीबीपीएस का हमारे कनेक्टिविटी था। आप समझ सकते हैं कि 1 जीबीपीएस, ओनली 1 जीबीपीएस, और अभी 100 जीबीपीएस का कनेक्शन हमें मिल गया है।
सर, आपने बोला कि अगाती एयरपोर्ट को आप एक्सटेंड करेंगे। अगाती वो इलाका है जहां पे कोचीन से फ्लाइट टेक ऑफ करके लैंड करती है, लेकिन वो काफ़ी छोटा द्वीप है और उसको एक्सटेंड करके जोड़ने की चर्चा काफ़ी वक्त से चल रही है कि हम लैंड रिक्लेम कर लेते हैं, दोनों आइलैंड्स को जोड़ देते हैं तो बड़ा एयरपोर्ट बन जाएगा, जैसे माले में भी है। लेकिन उसको लेकर जो इन्वायरमेंटलिस्ट हैं उनकी काफ़ी चिंताएं हैं कि अगर ऐसा हुआ तो वहाँ पे कोरल को नुकसान होगा, जो अंडर वाटर सी लाइफ है उसको नुकसान होगा। इस वजह से पर्यावरण में रुचि रखने वाले लोगों की तरफ से बहुत ज़बरदस्त विरोध रहा है। 60 लोगों ने मिलकर चिट्ठियाँ भी लिखी कि इस तरीके से प्रोजेक्ट को सैंक्शन ना दिया जाए। तो एक दूसरी चिंता ये होगी कि हाँ, हम चाहते हैं कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बने, लेकिन लक्षद्वीप का जो इन्वायरमेंट है, वहाँ का जो पर्यावरण है, उसको चोट ना पहुँचे, उसको लेके आप कैसे देख रहे हैं?
राहुल जी, ये सही है। हम पूरा ध्यान रख रहे हैं कि एनवायरनमेंट को किसी भी प्रकार का, इकोसिस्टम है उसको किसी प्रकार का नुकसान न हो, इसकी हम बिल्कुल चिंता करते हैं और इस हिसाब से उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए ये सारा काम होगा। देखो, चिंता तो इतनी हमने की है, इतने सालों से वहां पावर जनरेशन जो हो रहा है वो डीजल से हो रहा था। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमें कड़क से कड़क निर्देश दिए कि आपको जो भी करना है वो आप ग्रीन एनर्जी में जाइए, और अभी कवरत्ती, अगत्ती और बाकी आइलैंडों में भी जो सोलर पावर बेस्ड जो पावर जनरेशन है वो ऑलमोस्ट अभी 3 तारीख को उसका लोकार्पण भी हुआ, बाकी आइलैंड में भी काम चल रहा है। तो हमने इकोसिस्टम का भी पूरा ध्यान रखा है और आने वाले दिनों में जितने भी प्रोजेक्ट होंगे, आई एश्योर यू कि हम उसमें पूरा ध्यान रखेंगे, इकोसिस्टम को किसी भी प्रकार का कोई नुकसान ना हो।
सर, आपने कहा कि नए होटल आ रहे हैं, चूंकि इस वक्त लक्षद्वीप को लेके इतनी लोगों की रुचि है, थोड़े स्पेसिफिक जानकारी आप दीजिए कि किस तरह के होटल आ रहे हैं, कहाँ पे आ रहे हैं। खासतौर से लोग, चूंकि कई लोग जो देख रहे हैं इस वक्त मालदीव ज़रूर गए होंगे, तो जब वो तुलना करेंगे तो लक्षद्वीप में आपके हिसाब से, आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हैं दमन दीव और लक्षद्वीप के, आपके हिसाब से लक्षद्वीप में ऐसा क्या है जो कि इस वक्त जो आपको नेशनल टेलीविजन पे लोग देख रहे हैं वो आपको खींचे चले आए वो लोग लक्षद्वीप?
देखिए राहुल जी, अभी जो लक्षद्वीप में मिनिकॉय, कड़मत, देन बंगारम, तीनों जगह पे हमारे पास, इसके अलावा छोटे छोटे जितने भी आइलैंड है वो सारे आइलैंड में हमारे पास करीब करीब 300 से ऊपर मतलब कि टूरिस्ट के लिए एकोमोडेशन की व्यवस्था है।
मैं बता दूं दर्शकों को, 300 होटल कमरों की बात कर रहे हैं, 300 होटल्स की बात नहीं कर रहे, आप कुल मिला के 300 कमरों की बात कर रहे हैं। सर, कई बड़े होटलों में तो 300 कमरे एक होटल में होते हैं।
नहीं, मैं वही बता रहा हूँ कि ये दुर्भाग्य है, 75 साल में नहीं हुआ तो हम क्या करें। हम तो 5 साल में जो हुआ है आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के दिशा निर्देश के अनुसार, उसके मार्गदर्शन के अनुसार, वो मैं बता रहा हूँ कि जहां तक सवाल है तो 100 करोड़ से ऊपर का एक 5 स्टार लेवल का कवरत्ती में होटल बनने जा रहा है, उसका टेंडर हो गया है। सुवेली और कड़मत में भी वाटर विला एज वेल एज दी लैंड पे जो रिसोर्ट है वो दोनों ताज होटल ताज ग्रुप वाले हैं, वो भी उनका काम उन्होंने चालू कर दिया है। जहां तक अगति का सवाल है तो वहाँ टेंट सिटी बन रहा है, बहुत बढ़िया, उसका भी उसको हमने उसको अवॉर्ड कर दिया है, वो काम चालू हो गया है। बंगारम में और थीनकारा, वहां पे 400 नए कमरे और बनाने का काम भी ऑलरेडी पाइपलाइन में काम शुरू हो गया है। तो जितना संभव हो सकता था इतना हमने पूरा कोशिश कर लिया है। मुझे लगता है कि विद इन 4-5 मंथ्स हम आपको 500 से 550 कमरे और सुविधा जरूर हम वहां पे दे पाएंगे।
4-5 महीने में आप 400 कमरे बना देंगे? आप बोल रहे
पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ में आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ, पूरी जिम्मेदारी के।
अच्छे से बनाइएगा, ऐसा ना हो कि जल्दबाजी में मोदी जी को दिखाने के लिए बाकियों को बताने के चक्कर में जल्दी जल्दी आप बनाए कमरे और ठीक से ना बनाए।
आप मैं बता रहा हूँ राहुल जी, मैं पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ कह रहा हूँ कि वहां पे हमने दोनों जगह पे टेंट सिटी का हमने टेंडर कर दिया है। वहां मतलब कि स्टार कैटेगरी के टेंट सिटी हम बंगारम में, चिन्नकारा में और अगत्य में बनाने जा रहे हैं और वो काम चालू हो गया है। आप देखेंगे, मैं 4 महीने बोल रहा हूँ तो 4 महीने में जरूर पूरा हो जाएगा, इट्स माय गारंटी। मैं
अच्छा,
बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं कोई भावुकता में बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, पूरी जिम्मेवारी और समझदारी के साथ।
अच्छा, थोड़ा सा वो मोदी जी की ट्रिप के बारे में बताएं। लक्षद्वीप गए, उसके बाद कैसे वहां पर लक्षद्वीप में परिस्थितियां बदली हैं, आपके लिए कैसी बदली हैं? आपके तो फोन ही बज रहे होंगे, जितने भी लोग आपको जानते हैं फोन कर रहे होंगे, अरे प्रफुल्ल भाऊ कुछ कराओ, हम भी आना चाहते हैं।
देखो, मेरी बात को छोड़ दीजिए, लेकिन आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के इस दौरे के बाद लक्षद्वीप वासियों में जितना उत्साह और उमंग है न, मैंने मेरे 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 भी 3 साल वहां पे काम करते करते हो गए, इतना उमंग और उत्साह मैंने कभी नहीं देखा है। उनको अब लगने लगा है कि उनका भाग्य बदलने जा रहा है। इतने टूरिस्ट आएंगे तो वहां की इकोनॉमी भी डेफिनेटली बूस्ट होगी, छोटे मोटे रोजगार के अवसर भी होंगे। हमने एडवांस प्लानिंग भी किया था, प्रधानमंत्री जी के दिशा निर्देश के अनुसार। हमने जो आर्ट्स एंड साइंस को, हम मतलब हायर एजुकेशन के लिए वहां कोई सुविधा नहीं थी, हमने जितने भी वहां पे कॉलेज शुरू किए, वहां कोर्सेज होटल मैनेजमेंट रिलेटेड हमने कोर्सेज भी किए और 1 साल के बाद वहां पे उनका ग्रेजुएशन, अपना पूरा ग्रेजुएशन करके वहां से हमें होटल मैनेजमेंट रिलेटेड ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट भी हमें मिल जाएंगे। तो उससे भी वहां पे टूरिज्म मतलब कि उनको रोजगार भी मिलेगा।
अच्छा सर, मैं एक सवाल पूछता हूँ, जैसे अभी जब टूरिज्म के लिए कोई आता है तो एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम चाहिए होता है। हाल ही में हमने देखा कि गांधीनगर अहमदाबाद के बीच में जो गिफ्ट सिटी है वहाँ पर ये अनाउंस किया गया कि अल्कोहल यानी कि शराब को अवेलेबल किया जाएगा। मैं जब लक्षद्वीप में था, मैं देख रहा था कि क्योंकि वो मुस्लिम डोमिनेटेड एक इलाका है, लोकल पॉपुलेशन में काफ़ी एक पुशबैक हुआ करता था कि हम लोग यहाँ पे नहीं चाहते कि अल्कोहल को आसानी से अवेलेबल किया जाए, क्योंकि इससे जो वहाँ के स्थानीय लोग हैं उनको लगता था कि उस पर भी चोट होगी। लेकिन जो छुट्टी मनाने आ रहा है वो तो ये सब सारी चीज़ें सोचेगा ही, देखेगा ही। आप उसके बारे में कैसे प्लान कर रहे हैं?
देखिए राहुल जी, हमारे वहाँ पहले से वहाँ पॉलिसी है, जितने टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन है वहाँ पे हमने परमिट दिए हुए हैं और वहाँ पे लिकर अवेलेबल है ही है, कोई इश्यू नहीं, कोई इश्यू नहीं है हमारे वहाँ।
अच्छा, ये
हमने हमारी एक्साइज पॉलिसी है, उसको भी हम रिव्यू कर रहे हैं।
अच्छा, ये बताइए, प्रधानमंत्री ने तो स्नॉर्कलिंग की, आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हैं लक्षद्वीप के, आपने अब तक स्कूबा डाइविंग सीखी कि नहीं सीखी? आपने की स्नॉर्कलिंग की नहीं की?
जी राहुल जी, मैंने तो 2-3 बार वहां पे किया है स्नॉर्कलिंग और स्कूबा डाइविंग। इतना ही नहीं, आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति महोदय ने भी वहां पे स्नॉर्कलिंग और डाइविंग, स्कूबा डाइविंग किया है वहां पे। जो जितने भी लोग आते हैं, क्योंकि वो अंडर वाटर जो दुनिया है वो गजब की दुनिया है, अनटच है, ये पूरा आइलैंड है। तो ये कोरल, वहाँ के कोरल्स और फिशेस जो है माइंड ब्लोइंग, बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा है। मैं तो पूरे आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मैं आपका आभारी हूँ कि आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मुझे अवसर मिला है। मैं देशवासियों को बड़ी विनम्रता के साथ हमारे लक्षद्वीप की विजिट करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूँ और ये जो हमारी जो कुदरती संपदा है उसका पूरा लाभ उठाए, इसके लिए मैं आमंत्रित करता हूँ।
There's a lot of talk of Lakshadweep versus the Maldives. Cancel Maldives, let's go to Lakshadweep. But how much of this is actually based on reality? Remember, Lakshadweep has very basic tourism infrastructure. I've spent a few days over there. I've been scuba diving around the islands. It doesn't compare with the Maldives at this time. In terms of scenic beauty, it most certainly does. In terms of tourism infrastructure, it doesn't. So what will it take to build up Lakshadweep in a way that is classy, which takes care of conservation, which is environmentally friendly, and yet not so badly done that it starts looking like Juhu Chowpatty. It shouldn't get messed up. How do we ensure that Lakshadweep retains the natural beauty of Lakshadweep, and can it one day compete with the Maldives? And how many years down the road is that? It can't happen in a matter of months, but if we work systematically over a period of time, this can be done. To talk about this, I'm joined on the broadcast by Prashant Pitti, co-founder at Ease My Trip. Remember, he went viral in the morning when he said that they would not be taking any bookings for the Maldives and wanted people to go to Lakshadweep. So we'll ask him some questions about how prepared is Lakshadweep for the new interest and for all those tourists who want to get there. We're also joined by Ambassador Ashok Sajjanar, well-known former diplomat. We have with us Bharti Chaturvedi, founder and director of Chintan Environmental Research and Action Group. Remember, there are lots of environmentalists who are very concerned that if Lakshadweep just takes off in an unplanned fashion, it could be an ecologically disastrous situation. So what are the precautions we need to take? Why are some of the ideas that are being bandied about at this time very dangerous for the sensitive corals in the area? How we need to be very careful, so Bharti can talk about that. We've got a lot of actors, influencers saying, cancel Maldives, we're not going to go to the Maldives. Is that for real, or is that just a attempt to flow with the tide, as it were? Rohan Gandotra joins us. Poonam Pandey is a well-known model. She said that she was having a shoot planned out in the Maldives. She's decided to cancel that. So we'll talk to them as well. So let me go across to Prashant Pitti first. You're saying no Maldives, yes to Lakshadweep. You know, I was speaking to the administrator of Lakshadweep. At this moment, there are only 300 rooms, not 300 hotels, 300 rooms across all the islands of the Lakshadweep. So what are you even talking about?
No, Rahul, firstly, thank you for having me on the show. Rahul, you're absolutely right. There is very basic infrastructure available on Lakshadweep. But the decision which we have taken, which is basically to suspend all the future bookings on Ease My Trip portal. Ease My Trip is the second largest travel portal in the country.
How many bookings did you have?
Almost about 20 to 25% of all the bookings which happen online is through Ease My Trip, Rahul. And last year,
how many bookings did you have for the Maldives?
As I said, that it's usually anywhere between 20 to 25%, and 3 lakh people traveled to Maldives last year.
So how many have you cancelled?
We are not cancelling any. What we are saying is that from today onwards, no further bookings will be made on Ease My Trip related to Maldives.
And why have you done it? Is it a publicity stunt, or why are you doing this?
So, Rahul, of course, this is going to be, and there is going to be a revenue loss, which we are going through this. So this is basically purely from the sentiment of why should we give business to the country, which is showing so much of animosity towards India. Without any provocation, multiple of their representatives, MPs have said derogatory things about India and the PM. Plus, they have also run the campaign in the past, India out. So it's very clear, a country who doesn't really care about our business, why should we provide business to them?
So now you're talking about some kind of an MOU with Lakshadweep tourism. But your bookings are here and now. Building up Lakshadweep, how long do you think that might take?
It will take time. It's going to be a long haul. We are also in touch with various airlines to actually first start the connectivity between the mainland India and the Lakshadweep. There are barely any flights to Lakshadweep right now. But our endeavor is not just to promote Lakshadweep, but there are so many other pristine beach locations out in India. For example, there is a place called as Mararikulam. Not many people are aware about it. It's a fisherman's town, beautiful location, must have at least 5,000 rooms available over there, but people aren't aware about it. Then there is Andamans as well, which is beautiful out there, as stunning as any other location could be. So there are multiple positions, multiple places which are available out in India where people can spend their hard-earned money while continuing to retain their dignity. As any self-respecting country, citizen, we thought that this was too much for a country to show animosity towards us without any provocation.
Ashok Sajjanar, as a former diplomat, this pushback that we're seeing from the Ministry of External Affairs, the High Commissioner of the Maldives being summoned, being given presumably a dressing down, we don't have the specifics, but obviously India conveyed displeasure at the manner in which some of their ministers and MPs had spoken out against India after the Prime Minister went to the Lakshadweep. Do you think this is following the right strategy? Are we pressing the right buttons, because the president of the Maldives at this time is in China on a 5-day visit. Could we be pushing an important neighbor, especially in the context of China trying to encircle us in the Indian Ocean? Could we be pushing them further into Beijing's grasp?
No, thank you very much, Rahul, for having me on your show. I don't think so. I think we had to draw some red lines, and those red lines have been drawn. You would recall that when this whole thing erupted yesterday, our High Commissioner had raised the issue with the Maldivian Foreign Office. You would have seen that the Maldivian Foreign Office very quickly came up with a statement saying, completely disassociating the government from whatever has been stated by these three low-level ministers, deputy ministers, saying that, the freedom of speech does not extend to spreading hate. Also, they should not be doing something that spoils relations with other friendly countries. You would have seen that there have been huge number of voices in Maldives, whether it is from the former Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid, former President Mohammad Nasheed, also one of the MPs, women MPs, who's demanded that Maldives should seek an apology from India. So, India has friends in Maldives. Let's not forget that. 45% of the population that voted for Ibrahim Soli in the elections, that was basically for India. So the point I'm making is that we had to tell them what are the red lines, and I'm happy that they have taken corrective action. They have taken corrective measure very quickly. They have suspended these three ministers. Of course, the China challenge continues to be there. But I think that is at a different level that we have to deal with. We'll have to continue to deal with. But very soon, I'm confident, Rahul, that Maldives and President Moizu is going to realize that they do not have any alternative but to have good.
What makes you so confident? He was elected on a pro-China, anti-India agenda. He did get elected to power, so you can say, till I'm in power, this is the agenda that got me voted to power.
Yeah, but, if you recall the meeting that he had with Prime Minister Modi in Dubai on the 1st of December, there are two issues. One is they are not going to renew the hydrographic agreement. Then there are 77 maintenance Navy personnel for the 3 aircrafts we have given. Now they said, okay, we are going to set up a committee to see how these 77 people from India, what they call defense personnel, that they can leave. So I think they have also come to realize that whenever Maldives has needed anything, whenever Maldives has been with its back to the wall, there is no other country but India which has come to their rescue, whether it is during COVID, whether it is to supply water in 2014, whether it was tsunami, whether it was against the coup in 1988. I think they realized that. So, there is something that you say when elections are going on, elections are taking place, but once the heat of the elections, that has gone away.
And as you see in that visualization compiled by the India Trade Data Intelligence Unit, there's also a lot of commerce that's involved. Ultimately, Indian tourists contribute the maximum to the Maldivian economy, and the maximum number of tourists that Maldives gets at this moment. Earlier, it used to be China, but the maximum number of tourists Maldives is getting at this moment come from India, more than 11% of the total. Earlier, if you look back in 2012 and 11, you would have seen that China was the number one country. China has now dropped off the radar, and India, which earlier wasn't even in the top 5, was way down, has now bounced up to number 1. In 2015, it entered the top 5, and after that, as that graph moves along, you will see how India keeps jumping year after year in terms of the number of tourists we are sending to the Maldives. Went up to number 2 in 2019, and post the pandemic, we just kind of went way ahead. And that's the way the tally stands at this moment. India at number 1, Russia at number 2, and all other countries much lesser, and China now dropping off. So China is actually contributing much lesser than it used to previously, and India contributing the maximum. I want to go across to Poonam Pandey. Poonam, do you want to tell our viewers about what is it that you were going to shoot in the Maldives? Why did you decide to cancel?
I had a music video which I was supposed to shoot at the end of this month. Yesterday I was out with my parents, and the moment I came home and I started reading about this news, and the moment I saw that, I I backed up. I mean, those comments that those amazing people have made, it's ridiculous.
So now you're
And
planning to go to Lakshadweep?
Of course, yes. In fact, we are planning to film there now.
But you do know that there's only one flight to the Lakshadweep and there's hardly any accommodation, and especially all the influencer videos that we see in those fancy resorts in the Maldives, there's nothing similar. I've spent quite a few days in the Lakshadweep, there's nothing similar. If you love scuba diving or snorkeling, of course, you'd have a great time. But in terms of the fanciness of the resort or the food, everything else that goes with it, it's very, very basic.
See, Maldives was also, it took time, to build things. I mean, everything. And it's the economy that we have built, we've contributed in a very big way. So, agar wo same cheez hum hamare Lakshadweep mein karenge, to, we can have, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Taj has already, put in a word that they are going to build something. So, of course, it's going to take time, but I mean, the pizza in Maldives, which was, I think, 5,000 rupees. So it's better to eat in our country.
Okay, so Rohan Gandotra, we've seen from Amitabh Bachchan to Ranveer Singh, even Salman Khan jumping in. They all are saying Lakshadweep, chalo. But the question is, go where? Because there is no, at this moment, infrastructure to support all these stars reaching there. So what are you planning?
See, you know what? Even before firstly, thank you, Rahul, for having me on the show. So I was saying, even before this whole fiasco happened, I had gone to Maldives last year only. And while I was planning my trip to Maldives, I had planned for Lakshadweep also. But then I saw then I Googled how to reach Lakshadweep. So you have to go to Kochi, you have to get a permit, you have to then fly only one flight, and then you have to pack light to travel to Lakshadweep. And then I've seen the resort, so I dropped my plan. But today, after a year and a half later, when I saw Mr. Modi has reached there, and of course the pictures are beautiful, I really believe that India should take measures to build some hotels, build some internet connectivity, build some better adventure activities.
But all that takes time. What I find interesting in the posts that have been put out by all the actors is that next holiday in Maldives. But where will they stay in the Maldives? How will they get there? I don't think that's fully thought through at this moment.
I feel, you know what, once all actors, once all influencers start going there, so influencers means they have to influence people. And once the actor
but
or
Maldives also pays a lot of these influencers, Rohan. All those fancy pictures on Instagram, the influencers get money for it, boss.
Of course. You know what? Once we have, if we have.
Who's going to pay you in Lakshadweep? I spoke to the administrator. He said, "मेरे घर में बहुत जगह है, आप आओ यहाँ पे सो लेना."
I spent a lot of money when I traveled to Maldives. I don't want to spend more now because the beauty which I've seen in the Lakshadweep over the pictures on Google, I would really want to go there. अगर मुझे कुछ कम भी मिलता है in terms of the stay, I don't mind doing that. Okay. But I have to go and explore that place.
Bharti Chaturvedi, from the Prime Minister's trip onwards, now Salman Khan, Ranveer Singh, Varun Dhawan, next holiday, Maldives, chodo, Lakshadweep chalo. Now, as an environmentalist, when you're hearing all of this, are you getting really scared and worried? What will happen to poor old Lakshadweep?
No, I'm not worried. And the reason is that the way I see it, I think Lakshadweep is a metaphor. It's a symbol for traveling within our own country. It's not, exactly a mere it's not just ke sirf Lakshadweep chalo, right? It is still Lakshadweep chalo, nahi hoga to Andamans, nahi hoga to kuch aur. But there's a whole movement towards traveling to beautiful destinations within India. But as an environmentalist, I see it as a very big opportunity to actually implement large chunks of the Ministry of Tourism's sustainable policy of 2022. And that is actually quite the opposite of what some of your influencers are saying, because what they're really emphasizing is that you just can't have every place has its own carrying capacity. And the Lakshadweep, the islands are extremely fragile. I've been there. I've spent quite a bit of time there. They're very fragile. And there's some islands which you can literally walk in half an hour from one end to the other, even less. And so their carrying capacity, they're not made for tourism, whereas other parts are made for tourism.
No, but there are similar. I've been both to the Maldives and to Lakshadweep.
Yeah,
even
sure.
In the Maldives, the islands are quite small, as is the case in Lakshadweep.
Yeah, right. Well. But the Maldives is in big trouble. Apart from the fact that we're giving them trouble, they're also in environmental trouble. There's huge problem with what they've done, building these resorts. They've managed to get, the way they've altered coastlines, they've dumped on them, they've changed the tides, they've put a lot of sand suddenly, vegetation has changed. I mean, so they're always making barriers so that there's not more erosion. And we know that climate change might take away both these islands. So, as I look at it, carrying capacity is a very fundamental thing. How much load can an island or any place for that matter take? This is not just about tourism, it's a very basic principle of survival. So, I think that we have to look at Lakshadweep, but it shouldn't be the only place. It has to have a very, very low bearing kind of tourism.
No, sure. So here's the point I buy. If Lakshadweep is a metaphor for wanting to travel within India, that's a fantastic idea. It's something that I've believed in for many years. We've been traveling extensively through our country and encouraging travel in our country. That is a superb idea. If Lakshadweep literally means everybody from Rohan to Poonam to Varun Dhawan to Amitabh Bachchan, Hardik Pandya actually descend on poor Lakshadweep, then all the fish are gone, the corals are gone.
I don't know if you know this, but the Andamans is actually doing a fabulous job in upgrading its tourism. So if they can make this sustainable and local people more than corporates get profits, then it's a fabulous livelihood. For every million odd rupees, manufacturing creates, I think, about 45 jobs. And I was reading somewhere that tourism creates 78.
So you have to get it just right. You can't go overboard. You have to have infrastructure, but you make it.
And you've got to do light infrastructure, super.
Otherwise, it all starts looking like Juhu Chowpatty. And I have nothing against Juhu Chowpatty. But the beach is just an example of everything that's wrong. Okay, I want to go across to Ahmed Adib. Ahmed Adib has been the tourism minister of the Maldives, is the former vice president of Maldives. Adib Saab, welcome to India today. And I want to start up by asking you about the reactions that we're seeing in the Maldives to these ministers and the kind of outrageous comments they made about India, about Lakshadweep, and especially because so many people who are watching on India Today television this time have traveled to the Maldives and would have fantastic memories of their holiday and their time in the Maldives. And given the close ties between India and the Maldives, people are actually quite shocked by how your current government is looking at the relationship with an important ally.
Okay, thank you for having me here. As you said, this is something which should have not happened. And this activist from the ruling party who has become deputy ministers had racial comments and derogatory comments against the Prime Minister Modi and the people of India. So, and the government of Maldives should have taken more firm action promptly yesterday morning itself. And then do a public apology as well as reach out by the President of Maldives to Prime Minister Modi and sort out this full-blown diplomatic crisis. I think this is because of few handful of politicians, the whole Maldives is getting a lot of hate comments, a lot of anti-Maldives things are going on social media, which is understandable. So I would like to say it doesn't represent the sentiments of Maldivian people. The government should be more responsible, and I would say that they should make sure that it never happens again. So
no, but President Mohammad Mizu at this time is in China. He's gone on a 5-day visit there. He hasn't come to India yet. Usually Maldivian heads of state, when they get elected, have typically had India as their first port of call. That hasn't been the case. Here's a man and a government that very clearly is tilting pro-China and has arguably got elected on an anti-India agenda.
Yes, actually, the ruling party has they in the election also they started this anti-India sentiments, which was started by the former President Yamin. Now also there is a fallout between President Yamin and this current party. There is still this anti-India sentiments in that party, which is very extreme and very unreasonable, I would say. And as you said,
try and explain to our viewers, why is there at all? I mean, given how much India contributes to the economy of the Maldives, and Indian tourists are the number one country sending tourists to the Maldives, why is there an anti-India sentiment in the Maldives at all?
It is, I would say, that was a political thing that started as into India, but it was targeted to the previous government, which has a very good relationship with India. I think we went through COVID and all this crisis because India was there for us in every time of need. So, as you said, this sentiment doesn't represent the Maldivian people, but it's a party with some extreme ultra-nationalistic agenda, which has produced this by their leader, former President Jammeh. They targeted this as a political way to attack the previous government, and even in election they spread a lot of misinformation, like there was thousands of Indian soldiers in Maldives, which is not true.
Ashok Sajana,
So
what's the agenda of President Mohammad Mizu's visit to Beijing? What do you think he hopes to get out of it?
No, I think basically it is, you would recall that when Mohammad Yamin was in power before Ibrahim Soli, and, at that time also Yamin had gone to China and they had signed an FTA, free trade agreement. So, and there were a number of, under the Belt and Road initiative, there have been a number of projects also in Maldives, setting that bridge from Malé up to from the capital city up to the airport to the other island. So there are a number of those, and then of course China, for its own purposes, would like to, they would dangle this carrot, and for their own purposes, they would like to ensnare Maldives so that they can have some sort of a presence there. Because China is expanding its footprint even in the Indian Ocean. We've seen how its spy submarines come to Sri Lankan ports. So if Maldives also gets indebted to China in a very big way, then of course they'll be able to utilize those ports. So that's why, Rahul, I was mentioning earlier that our relations with Maldives are not only trade. We export, of course, more than $600 million to them. It's not only tourism. Our relations are strategic and security and defense related also.
And there's so many Indian doctors and nurses who provide healthcare in the Maldives. So it's not just the tourists that we are sending. It's not just commerce. There's a lot of people-to-people ties.
No. Yeah, and it has been long-standing. So I think the Maldivians need to recognize that, need to realize that. And that's what I said, that once this government settles down, they will also realize that beyond a point, they cannot sort of, start rubbing India the wrong way. Here, of course, the way it has started with these three ministers, salutary action and very quick action has been taken against them. I think both the sides should really now look forward, try to mend relations, try to see where we can work together, where we can cooperate. India has huge investments also in Maldives, and we need to sort of, work it out with the current government so that we have normal working relations. The relations might
but
not
the fact
be as
is that again, with most of India's neighbors, we don't seem to have the right kind of relationship. Whether it is a Nepal, a Sri Lanka, Bangladesh.
No, Rahul, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think our relations over the last 5, 8, 10 years, they have improved hugely. You mentioned Nepal first. Let me tell you, Rahul, that before Mr. Modi came to power and he went to Nepal, his first visit was in August 2014. The Indian Prime Minister had not visited that country for 17 years. When Mr. Modi went to Sri Lanka in 2015, the Indian Prime Minister had not gone to Sri Lanka for 32 years. So, I don't think we should make these statements off the cuff. I think we need to realize, we need to recognize, look at the manner in which India has gone and provided $4 billion worth of support and aid to Sri Lanka in last year, when it really had its back to the wall as far as its economy is concerned. Look at the manner, more than $8 billion of line of credit and grant to Bangladesh. So, these are relations that we are seeing a golden period in, in the ties with India. Look at the visit of Dr. Jaishankar to Nepal very recently. 10,000 megawatt of electricity Nepal is going to be providing to India. So I think our relations are doing well. Maybe, in terms of public communication, this government needs to be more proactive to tell the people as to what exactly is happening.
So I want to thank our guests for joining us. And I want to go across now to my colleagues who are in Malé. Geeta Mohan joins us it's much easier to get to Malé, as everyone watching at this time probably already knows, because you take a flight, whether it's from Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, anywhere, you get to Malé. We send one of our colleagues to Lakshadweep. She's still on her way because there's only one flight, and that flight is booked up all the way till February. So Geeta is in Malé, and I'm very jealous already. She's the only Indian who's in Malé who's smiling, as everybody else now fearing when they come back, people around them won't be very happy. What were you doing in Malé? So what are you picking up in Malé around this whole Lakshadweep versus Maldives, India versus Maldives controversy?
Well, Rahul, over here, when it comes to, let's talk about the Indian tourism and Indian tourists over here. They're here in throngs. It's holiday season. A lot of them with their children, and most of them have been saying that what Prime Minister Modi did is fantastic, talking about tourism, local tourism, promoting Lakshadweep, but that should not impact tourism here. Each place is beautiful, and so a lot of them over here not really regretting having come here despite the controversy. But politically speaking, what has happened over here is certain messaging. Two things. I'm in Malé right now, and President Muizu began his trip, his first official state visit to China, departure from the past. All past presidents always had come to India first, but this time this is a major departure, clearly showing the leanings. Having said that, because of the derogatory remarks made by these 3 or 4 ministers, the action that was taken by Muizu administration after the backlash, not just from the people over here, I've been speaking to a few Maldivians, and they're saying that they do depend a lot on tourism from India, imports, food, medicine and medication in India. So a lot of dependence on India. So they're not very happy with the situation. They want improvement in ties. The opposition backlash against the government certainly was one of the reasons why we saw suspension of the ministers. Now we'll have to wait and see how the Muizu administration and the Indian government really engage each
What's
other.
President Muizu doing in Beijing? What's on the agenda for his 5-day visit, Geeta?
Well, it's a very important visit. This is the first visit, visit abroad by the Maldivian president after taking office, after assuming office. So there's a lot that is on the agenda. One, that he will be engaging with his Chinese counterpart. Then there are a lot of deals that will be discussed. Trade, a lot of infrastructure projects over here, Rahul, will be discussed, which in the past were being discussed maybe with India and other countries. China is going to have a huge stake in the Maldives if the administration continues the way it is. But there is certainly an understanding over here that no matter what they do with China, that India certainly is indispensable.
Okay, I want to go across now to Shibi. Shibi is our colleague in Kerala. She travelled from Thiruvananthapuram to Cochin and then couldn't find a flight because there's only one flight. The flight's booked out till February. So if you're actually watching India Today TV or going through your phone and thinking of wanting to go to Lakshadweep, know this, there's one flight at the moment. The flight's booked out till February. It's a 72-seater, and therefore Shibi's on a steamer with very poor connectivity on the way to Lakshadweep. So Shibi, when do you get there? And explain the experience. You couldn't find a flight, now you're heading there. And, it's the story for everybody. If they want to go Lakshadweep, chalo Lakshadweep is all, it's good to say it. And it's rara on social media, but ultimately the infrastructure at this moment doesn't allow for people like Geeta. Just got a flight in Delhi in the morning. By noon she was in Malé, and you are still mid-sea, Shibi.
Well, it's going to take me 14 to 15 hours to reach Lakshadweep because it's a long process. It's not that easy, and that's probably one of the issue that was raised by the people of Lakshadweep also. When I boarded the cruise, I met a lot of people from Lakshadweep, and one thing that they raised was it's not very easy to commute. Commutation is a problem because there are two options to fly to reach Lakshadweep. One is take a flight from Kochi or board a cruise from Kochi, and cruises are not available on all the days. So that's one issue that they raised. So it's going to take me 14 hours. Yes, I know Geeta has already reached Maldives. But yes, we'll slowly get there, and we'll probably show the better version of Lakshadweep here. I actually spoke to a lot of people here from Lakshadweep who are traveling to Lakshadweep, and they were telling me that it's time that Lakshadweep gets explored a lot more. They're glad that Prime Minister actually visited and posted those pictures, because at least now a lot of them got to know how beautiful Lakshadweep is. It's not much visited. Bangaram Island is one of the most visited areas, but there are many more islands, 10 islands that inhabited out of the 36 islands, and all of it as hidden beauty that needs to be explored more. I have some people here. I'll definitely talk to them. Sir, are you a tourist going to Lakshadweep?
Yeah, of course, sure.
What is it about Lakshadweep that you're so excited about, most excited about?
Most excited because one of the most tourist places in India, and we can see comparable to other beaches, we will get the crystal water beach and sun kissed beach also we'll get, and moreover we'll get the corals also there, and one of the best scuba diving area is there, and so we are choose Kavarati and Kalpeni, like more beautiful island is there, so we are going with the family, and also we are exciting with ship. First time we are trying from the ship. There is two way, like flight is there and ship, but we are never going from anywhere from with the ship. So this is our very important time, I think, and also see there is a culture was very entirely different, entirely different food also there. I think we saw some of the videos, and also we normally we are choosing north area, but this time we need to see this area, or what is the culture, or what is the food, or what is the when I come to enter this ship, that Lakshadweep people are very friendly and talkative, very nice people, I think. So I hope we'll get nice trip from this time, and this 2024 is, I think, very best.
Wishing you a happy journey too. So I completely agree to him. There are lovely people from Lakshadweep. In fact, I've heard Lakshadweep people speak, and they speak in Malayalam. They spoke to me in Malayalam also, but when they started speaking to each other, they spoke in a Malayalam I could not understand, and probably seeing my face, they were telling me that our Malayalam is slightly different. You might not be able to understand. So that's when I understood that there's a lot more to explore.
That was Shibi, our correspondent, en route still to Lakshadweep, and I think that contrast between Geeta and Shibi says a lot. Geeta reached Malé, Shibi 14-hour steamer after traveling from Thiruvananthapuram. So when I traveled to Lakshadweep in 2020, we took a flight to Cochin. From Cochin, you take a flight to Agatti Islands, and remember, very often that flight tends to get cancelled. So there are multiple problems here. This is where I wrap up the Newstrack tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Pure Wash Electronic Seat by Kohler. Wish everything was this intelligent.
Get ready for an immersive journey into the heart of news, politics, and insights that matter. Join India Today now on WhatsApp. Scan the QR code.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit over New Year's to the beautiful islands of Lakshadweep have brought Lakshadweep starkly into national focus. A lot of people now vowing to go to Lakshadweep. Cancel Maldives campaign currently seems to be on, and the man who's most thrilled with all of this is the administrator of Lakshadweep, Praful Patel. He now joins us live and exclusive on India Today. He's also the administrator